So my name is Jill Eastman, and I'm going to be your guide today. I will be sharing with you all the ways that the butterfly garden, both the environment and the plants themselves, draw in those pollinators and say, come, we have the richest nectar, and you can stay all summer if you want. It will be wonderful. But before I begin my talk, which will be about 10 minutes, I'd like to know how many of you have ever been to the Botanic Gardens? So most of you, that's great, because then you know what I'll be talking about. And how many of you are gardeners? Well, that's even better. Thank you so much just for giving me that background. Now before we go, if you want to get your hat or sunscreen, or if you need your bottle of water, you can get that. The ground going down is uneven, so be careful when you walk. Also, there will be bees there, but there usually are the native bees. And the native bees shouldn't bother you because they are solo flyers, and they don't have hives that they have to protect. But if there's any problem, you decide whether you need to leave or whatever. Anyway, if you need a porta potty, it's on the trail behind me on the way. So now that we're back, we'll walk down to the garden. Now the garden here, the butterfly garden, is one of the popular gardens. But for me it's special because what it reminds me of is my grandfather. When I was 10, he came to live with us. And because of that, I not only got to share him as a person, but also he took charge of our garden because my parents did not have time. So I helped him too plant the plants and do the weeding. But best of all, I could go down there and see those beautiful, delicate butterflies float in and out of the plants, gathering their nectar. And for me as a 10-year-old, I thought that was just marvelous, that those butterflies would come to my garden every day, and I could go down there to see them. So now that we're at this butterfly garden, let's pretend that it's like my grandfather's. And why was it so successful? Well, first of all, it has to be laid out to attract those pollinators. So to do that, think of what you want most of all at the end of winter. Many people go to Florida to find it. What do you want at the end of winter? What are you looking forward to right now?
Snow.
Sitting in this room.
Sunshine.
The sun. So am I. I got goosebumps. But anyway, so the garden needs to be in a sunny spot. Either it has to have morning or afternoon if it doesn't have full sun. Because the butterflies and the different pollinators are cold-blooded. So of course they need that warmth. Now what about the wind? You know how in Morgantown we drive around those potholes like this, looking like we're drunk sometimes. Wouldn't say that, I guess. But anyway, that is also an effect that the wind has on pollinators, because it can blow them hither and thither. So what is out there, even if you look out that window, what is out there that would help monitor that wind and kind of slow it down? Trees. And if you didn't have trees, you could do big bushes, because you need something that's going to slow the wind down, because you're trying to get those pollinators to feel comfortable, just like you do when you go to visit a friend. So now we have the warm sun and we have the wind breaks. What about moisture? Butterflies especially like to drink little bits of water. Now how can you get water into this garden? Or how can they get their moisture? Can you think of any way? Besides the rain falling, which of course we have. Well, there's a method called puddling. You can take little dishes and sink them into the ground. If you put a rock there, of course the rock will get warm with the sun, then the butterfly has a very nice place that he can rest and just take his little sips of water. Or other pollinators could come and just sit on the edges and get some. So that way you're guaranteed to have the water. Because the butterfly garden is special because it wants to have everything for every pollinator, so it needs it all. So now that you've looked at the environment, let's look at the plants themselves. Did you know that the plants are the best salespeople around? They can't go write an ad and put it on TV, so they just use who they are. And can't you hear them talking? I'm going to do this. I'll do this. I'll get the moths in. I'll get the bees in. They all have different methods. Some are the same and some are different about how to draw in those pollinators. So if you look at this garden, even the small one, what do you see that is part of the attributes that they have? Color. Color. That's a big one, isn't it? Even we are drawn to the color. But did you know that bees and some of the others they have composite eyes, they can see everything, but they can't see long distance very well.
So
And when there's colors, there really can be nectar guides, especially for the bees. Because they can see in the ultraviolet range. So what they see in the color sometimes is exactly where the nectar is. And they will go right to the spot. Because bees and pollinators are just like us. If you can do something quick, you want to do it quick. And that's what they want. They don't want to have to be looking for food because that's what they're looking for. The nectar is their food. If it takes too long, they get worn out. So this helps them. So color is a big one. What else do you see about those plants? What about smell?
Yeah.
If you have chocolate chip cookies, or you have new bread coming out of the oven, how does that draw you in? It makes you can almost taste what you're doing. You can't wait to get that first taste. And that's how they are. Especially those night pollinators like the moths. They like the light-colored flowers. And they use that scent, again, to seek out that plant and find the nectar that they can get. The nectar that they're looking for. Is there anything else you guys can see that would make a difference? Shape. Shape's a big one, isn't it? The butterfly can do ones that have tubes. But if you're a little ant, you know ants are pollinators, you want to get something that's close to the ground. So you need many sizes of plants and shapes so that each pollinator has what they need. If you're an ant, you want something that has lots of clusters in it so that you don't have to spend a lot of time finding your pollinators, finding your nectar. So now we've had shape, we've had color, we've had the clusters. You also need to have blooms the whole time, through the whole season. So what you need then is to have both the beautiful annuals, plus you need all the perennials, so when the annuals start to fade, then the perennials will be there. So now you can see why this garden is so successful. Except there's one part I forgot. What about those mama butterflies? What do the mamas need? They need a special plant because they're going to try and lay their eggs. Not try, but actually do it. And they need a plant that not only can they lay their eggs on, but the larva, when it comes out, will start eating it and then slowly develop into its full butterfly form. And so that's what's really unique about a butterfly garden, because it has the different plants. If it's a monarch, it needs milkweed. If it's a different kind of butterfly, it'll actually need some other plants to lay their eggs on and for them to be eaten by all the larvae. So the butterfly garden is special in that it has everything for all the pollinators. It's like your all-you-can-eat buffet type of thing. It's not just a sandwich here or a little snack there. It has everything for everybody. It's kind of like a gift exchange too. The pollinators come, they sip their nectar, and while they're doing that, they gather all that pollen and take it flower to flower so that the flowers themselves can keep reproducing. It's a beautiful pairing, isn't it? So thank you for coming, and if you have any questions, I'll stay behind to answer them.